Europe, but you'll get down. You're never running from this town. And I think you said you'll never get anything.
I was flying back from Moscow. I like saying that. I was flying back from Moskva. Is that how you say it in Russian?
Moskva.
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 Moskva. Sorry. Okay, so anyway, so there I was all around Moscow saying Moskva. No wonder they were looking at me like I was totally crazy.
I was like a fucking restaurant in Market.
Well, so I was flying back, and I literally kind of fell out of my seat. Not well. It was more like, because I was in business class, I pushed my call button and had my own personal flight attendant, Natalia, come, and I was like, Stolichnaya. And because I was reading this book, which is a New York Times bestseller called Imagine. And first of all, I mean, a lot of this is a scientist who's talking about the science of creativity, the science of art. It's all from a scientific structure, but how to become more artistic in your life. And part of it was blowing me away because literally there were pages of the things that I'm talking about in my book, but I'm not a scientist, but there were so many correlations. It was really blowing me away. He interviews this guy named Charles Lim, who is a Johns Hopkins University neuroscientist. And this scientist, he does these studies, or he did these studies, and maybe he continues to do so, with jazz pianists, how they are able to be free form. How jazz musicians are able to just work within the structure or the form of jazz, but also improv, right? Be in a let go. Where does that sound familiar? Say yes and. Where have you heard that? So, first of all, there is an explosion of energy in the medial prefrontal cortex, which is like up here somewhere, which is an area in the brain associated with self-expression. That's the first thing. That starts to get triggered. And then the second thing, and he refers to this as, oh my God, this blew my mind, the center of autobiography. Now check this out. He calls it the center of autobiography, which means the jazz musician in the moment is improving, meaning they are imprinting on the form, on the text, on the structure, imprinting their way of doing it. Their life imprint is what makes their jazz different than somebody else's jazz. And wait for it. Where have you heard this before? Tilda Swinton, Academy Award-winning actress, says, it's all me, or all you, that's what acting is, and it's all autobiography. Now wait, it gets better. So I'm continuing to read, and then he talks about, while that's happening in the prefrontal cortex, self-expression, at the same time, there is a shift in another circuit called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the DLPFC, not the DWP, the DLPFC, which is associated with impulse control. What does that mean? Impulse control, the inhibitor in you. So when you want to reach for that cookie, that part kicks in and keeps you from doing it. But what's interesting in these studies, in these brain scans, when the musicians were in this state of flow, that part gets disconnected. It turns off. It turns off. Before a single note was played in the improv, each pianist exhibited a deactivation of the DLPFC, and the brain silenced that circuit. And wait, it even gets better. And this area, wait for this, remained active when the pianist played a memorized tune. Now what's that about? When people first, sometimes auditors do this, but certainly maybe you all, this class has been here long enough to know, but when people first come study, they're like, why don't you let them memorize? And it's so fascinating to me. So many years ago, when I first started working with actors and working this way of working, I saw that the memorization inhibited this part, the express part of the actor, which is the muscle we're building. I didn't know the science behind it. Now there's science to prove it. The memorization of any art form inhibits the part of you that wants to be freely expressed. That doesn't mean you won't memorize. That doesn't mean you won't be on set and have pages and pages of script memorized, but you've developed a different muscle so that you're accessing what I call the creative matrix. You're plugged into something bigger, you're a channel for something bigger moving through you. That's not just spiritual and emotional, it's scientific. That's technique. Anyway, I'm maybe more excited about it than you are, I don't know. But no, I mean, Oh yes, but no. So, but from now on, I'm done. But from now on, if you're in your head, I'm just going to call it, get out of your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. That's what I'm going to tell you. You're in your DLPFC. No, that's going to be the new language. That's it. So we want to keep getting out of this left brain and keep living in the potential of who you all are, which is one of the other things that this guy talks about in the book. He's like, you are all genius artists. You are all. Everybody is a genius artist on this planet. You are all genius artists. You are. Spiritually, emotionally, but also the chemistry of your brain. That potential is within you. It's about unlocking those powers.